Did we start?
It already did the countdown.
I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry. Welcome to Gaming Daddies, the podcast where fatherhood meets the digital grind. I'm Chris, one of your three gaming daddies, and each week the three of us sit down to talk about the games we're playing, how we balance gaming with family life, and the big conversations happening in the gaming world. Today's episode is all about backlog gaming. When will we actually play all of those games we say we will, and how do we choose which ones to play first with the ever-growing pile constantly consuming us? We will discuss our backlogs and what we plan to do on this episode. So grab your controller, maybe just your one free hour of peace and quiet, and let's hit start. All right, so I've been waiting for this episode for a while. Discussing backlog gaming. You know, the big monster in the room is the backlog of games, and I think that is something that just plagues, you know, typical gamers, normal gamers, but also those of us that are parents that are really hardcore into gaming. And so for those of us that don't know what a backlog is in the gaming world, backlog is, you know, the list of games, at least in my definition, is those games that you want to play, or those games that you're like, man, I played a little bit of this, but I'm gonna put it on the shelf for now. I'm gonna come back to it later. Would you agree that would be the consensus as for how we define the backlog in the gaming world?
Well, I would also include a backlog as a game that you start with intentions of finishing, but you just don't have the time or whatever it may be, that you just have to put pause on that game for an indefinite amount of time.
Yeah, been there. What about you, Jade? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. And I would, I have to go back to the retro days where, even in the 80s and 90s, backlogging wasn't really a thing. You only had a few cartridges or discs at the time. So you were really limited by, those cartridges. Sometimes the backlog became the graveyard. You played it for a little bit and you go, oh, all right. In those days, we could take it back. And these days, you buy a game, you're stuck with it. Yeah. Most of the time. There's probably some places, but with everything being such on the digital stage right now, it's so much saturation of games that are out there right now that you're just like, oh, I want to try that. And you don't really know what you're getting into sometimes. It could just be, something you've heard that's coming out and I need to do a better job of that, I think, of looking at, what's the amount of hours of gameplay that's recommended for this game. If they say 40 to 60 to 80 to 100 hours, I need to know better what I'm getting into, especially if they say character creation. Oh my God, that right there, I fall immediately in love. If I get there and I can make this guy have gray hair and glasses, I'm like, I'm in all the way. This is it. This is going to be my favorite game. And then it doesn't always turn out to be that way. And that's something that we can talk about.
Do y'all really get into the character creation portion of things? Yeah. For me, it's just like, I get them close to what I want them to look like. I'm like, I'm good. Because then I know that's like a black hole that you can just get sucked in for hours and just be like, ooh.
Chris, I can spend an hour and a half plus creating my character to make him look just the way I want.
That's crazy.
And then get into the game, and then you have this 2-hour-long tutorial. And then you're going, Jesus, it's midnight, and I started this game at 7. So for me, I guess, those games can easily go on the backlog unless there's a lot of hype. If there's a lot of hype about, Starfield, for example, and we can talk more about specific games later, but
I would argue, well, not really argue. I don't think there's really much of an argument, but like when I was growing up and, with Blockbuster and, even with GameFly and, things like that, the rental system was our way of like building the backlog, I guess, especially if you really if you rented a game you weren't sure about and you played it for an evening, you're like, oh man, I'm not anywhere close to finishing this game, but I really want to play this. So that's the baby backlog, and that's kind of cool. But no, yeah, with the digital saturation now, it's ridiculous how long it is, and I'm really interested to see where we go with this conversation as we go. So actually, that bridges right into it. Let's talk about our backlogs. Let's pull those out. And Tedder, let's start with you. How's your backlog looking right now?
So I mean, obviously I have I have 3 brand new games that I want to jump into that I've got like 2 or 3 hours into Borderlands 4. I've got an hour and a half into Ghost of Yotei, and then Outer Worlds 2. I haven't even started yet, and that's on my to-do list. So it's already on a backlog, and I don't even have any inkling of when I'm going to start that. But those are just the newest games. I mean, I still haven't even finished. And please forgive me. I have not even finished Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So, I mean,
Me neither.
oh my God. Like, I got to like chapter 12 and everything just opened up and it reopened all the stuff that I spent all that time 100%ing. And I was just like, nope.
I think I'm
gonna
right before
just...
that chapter.
So, anyway, I mean, I definitely have some games that are on the backlog of I want to go back and finish them, but will I? Who knows? But those 3 games that just came out, those are on the forefront of like when I get time, that's happening. Now, what order? I don't know.
Yeah. So do you keep like a running list? I know you spouted some off, but do you keep an actual like list, like an inventory?
No, I'm not OCD enough. I will be at some point, but that takes effort.
That takes effort. What about you, Jay? What's your backlog looking like?
Well, I made a list of these because I had to go through. I was telling Jared about this. Is there a way to find out games that I've downloaded and have like zero gamer scores for, or I just, so I spent some time today going through that, and these are the games that I found. Elden Ring.
Nope.
I started that game. I'm just going to leave that there.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky actually held my attention for quite a while.
Okay.
Interesting.
Until eventually it just felt like all of the planets were just the same.
Mm-hmm.
So that one kind of went away for a while. And every new update, I would say every 6 months or so, they'll come out with this fancy update. It's got all these new features. And then I'll dive back in and I go, what the crap? This looks exactly the same as what I played before. But I guess those that are really dedicated to that game just can see those features. Dark Souls was that one was just I had enough rage quitting with that game. I really enjoyed it, I guess, at first. I think that one had character creation too, maybe. I don't know, but it seems like I spent a lot of time building that game up and then only to just really be disappointed. Alan Wake 2 started that game, have gone a little ways into it. And then Baldur's Gate 3, believe it or not.
Oh my gosh, I want to play that so bad.
I have that game. It is sitting right on my favorite screen on the Xbox. And it seems like every time that I want to dive into that game and just make something of it, something happens. I've got to leave. And it's one of those games that I get aggravated by getting going and enjoying it. And then it's, you get pulled away. And then that's one of those games where, and I think Jarrett and I had this conversation too, like Neverwinter Nights, those D&D games where you have all the quick keys for spells and potions and things like this. And with a controller, it's very difficult for me. So it was a little bit of a letdown between, I really like the Baldur's Gate story. I love that immersiveness that you get from that game, but I can't be, I don't know if it's developed into acts or what, but I can't be very far into that game. But I have it. It's sitting right there. So that's the one that I'm the most unfortunate to reveal that, because I know a lot of people love that game.
Yeah. It looks so
and
good.
I can understand why.
Yeah.
I tell myself I'm going to get to them when things slow down, but when is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Where is that reality? Trying to balance that between work, family, band life. Nothing slows down.
Right. So before I get into my personal backlog, I was thinking about this over the weekend as we were discussing the topic for this week, and I got to thinking, like, maybe a backlog doesn't necessarily just have to be limited to gaming. It could be extended to like books, or like TV shows or movies, like things that we just haven't had the opportunity to get around to, much like our gaming world does. We're nerds in every sense of every sense of the word, between reading or, watching movies or TV shows and of course gaming. But, would you say that you have a backlog for any books that you're reading or manga or, like movies or TV shows that you have had to put on the list of things to watch and you're starting to get around to? What you say, Jarrett?
I probably do, but I don't have a list. I don't have a running.
Yeah. I did not prepare a list for that one either,
Well,
but
sure.
I guarantee you that I do.
Yeah, okay.
I know that I do.
But the list exists, though. I mean, like,
Oh,
it's something
yeah, it
that
does.
you've thought. I wasn't like looking for specifics, but like just,
Sure.
you have things that you have.
Yeah, like on my manga site that I use, I probably have 78 books in my library. The problem with manga, though, is that I'll finish, they'll have, 14 chapters or whatever ready to go, and I'll read those 14 chapters, and I'm just waiting on the next chapter to be published, translated, and then, made public. So realistically, like, I may have finished what I could from the book, and it's going to be a couple of years before I'll actually get to stay up to date on that book. So even though I have like 78 books in my library, doesn't necessarily mean that I have 78 books available that I have not been up to date or current on. So yes, there's a backlog, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
Oh, sure. And like I said, it was just a floating thought I had in my brain. I was like, man, I got to thinking about the games that I want to play, but there's also like other things too that are on my list that I just haven't had time to get around to. But if we're getting around to my personal backlog, it's ridiculous. And I started just like over the weekend, just kind of just starting an Excel sheet, of like things that I want to play. That way I can kind of keep a checklist for myself. And, just from the stuff I was able to rattle off the top of my brain is like, and looking at my library that I have on my PlayStation, on my Epic Games Store, and on my Steam, there's like 55 games on here. And some of them are actually kind of embarrassing because they're probably games I probably should have played already, like Final Fantasy X and 10-2. Haven't played any of those. Or haven't played, much less completed them. Like any of the Contra games, I've played snippets of Contra, but I've never completed any of them. And I've bought and downloaded the DLC to Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred. Haven't started it. It's still like unstarted in my account. It's awesome. Castlevania Symphony of the Night and some of those other Castlevania games I've been interested in playing. I just never got around to doing it. The Witcher 3 I've owned on PS4 probably since the complete edition was released.
Yep. I'm with you on that one.
I've played a few hours of it.
I've talked to so many people that have played Witcher 3, love it, finished it, played it several times.
Yeah.
I have yet to make it through that game.
And there's just, that game is so deep in its complexity. Like,
it really is.
Like, if I'm going to start it, I really need to commit to it. And I've only played just a few hours of it, and it's just like, I can't do it right now. So, the Mega Man series, I don't think I've ever beaten a Mega Man game in my life. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, it's a fantastic game. I've played several hours of that. I just never completed it. What are some of the, like, I have the DLC for the first DLC chapter for Pokemon Violet on the Switch, just never started it. It's crazy. I've never played BioShock 2 or BioShock Infinite, but that's on my list. The Metroid series, I've played some. Like, I've played part of Fusion. I've played a little bit of Super Metroid, but that's the limit of what I've done. So, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, I've played about an hour of that, and I haven't completed that either. And then Baldur's Gate 3 and The Outer Worlds are some of the other two big ones on this list. But my backlog also, branches into some books. There's books, obviously, that I want to get to, book series that I'm trying to get into and finish up. And, and then I'm a big comic book reader, and I'm 41 comic books behind right now in order to get it caught up to current on the select Marvel and DC series that I read. And then, like, I'm pretty sure there's double that sitting on my desk that I need to put in those sleeves and file them away in my boxes. So it's crazy. So it's a peek into our backlog. So why do these things happen? Why do these backlogs develop and then seem like they become never ending? Jay?
I think it's because we love gaming in the best and the worst ways. There's too much good stuff, too many deals, and I see that all the time. Oh, it's 75% off. I got to get it. Yes. And there's too little time. Yes. And somewhere between being a full-time adult and a part-time gamer, we start treating games like collectibles instead of experiences. What games have you got? Oh, I've got this game and this game and this game. How much of it you played? Well, I don't get asked that question, thank God, because if I did, that answer would be, well, I don't know yet, but I'll get back to you. I don't know when I'm going to get back to you. But here's the thing, maybe that's just okay. Having a backlog isn't some kind of a failure. It's proof that we're still excited about gaming, even as old as we are. And it's that feeling of, possibility that the next great gaming adventure or whatever is going to finally hit, it's going to hit sometime, and maybe it won't.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on the sales stuff, especially. Steam is a trap when it comes to sales because their sales are so good, especially the winter sale that they're probably about to have here pretty soon. And then the beginning of the year sale, then their summer sale is really good too. Like, it's dangerous. I bought over the last summer, I think I bought the original Fallout series, like 1, 2, 3, 4 Tactics, because you could. I think I got Brotherhood of Steel. You remember that game?
Oh yeah, made them all.
And like for like $5 or something. It's stupid.
Wow,
And
that's great.
Those are wild things. And so you have really good sales that happen on all these different platforms. So it makes purchasing games much easier, especially when you're comparing them to price points of like $60 it's usually, but now it's like 90% off. I mean, why not? PS Plus is also that kind of trap too, because they offer those free games every month. And I've learned this habit from Tedder. Like, I'll just go and just add them to my library. Will I ever play them? I don't know, but I have them. That way, if I ever get the itch, I can just go and play them. Game Pass, I haven't got into Game Pass much, but Epic Games does the same thing. They'll offer a pair or 3 of free games once a week, and it rotates out, and every now and then you get some big AAA games that make it into that list, and you can just download it for free and just have it sitting there. But yeah, there's the sales are the big ones. I would agree. There are too many great releases, and that's in the best way. There's just a lot of awesome games out, and lots of different flavors out there too. So there's lots of things to experiment with. And then of course you get to kids, work, and then life priorities. Like with a newborn, especially with myself, and probably with Jared as well. It's hard to find time. Having to balance that gaming life with raising your kid, spending time with your newborn, making sure you're spending time with your wife, your partner, making time for family and date nights and all that stuff. It's just a lot to juggle, and not in a negative way. It's all in the best possible way. And work obviously consumes a lot of our time, especially in our profession in the fall, now that we're kind of winding down a little bit, at least for those of us that don't do the indoor activities, into the winter and into the spring, that kind of frees up some time as well. So what about you, Jarrett?
Yeah, I think especially right now, it's just we're getting inundated with all these releases, and they're all really good releases. I mean,
Yes.
It used to be that you would get maybe 1-2 games a year, and I mean, just this fall alone, we've gotten 3 really strong releases, and then God knows how many we got in the summer, and then 2026 doesn't look like it's going to ease up any. So, there's a whole lot of times that you kind of have to play I want to play that game, but I'm still, in the middle of this 100-hour game. So what do I do? Do I finish this game, or do I go ahead and jump on the new game? So you have to play that balancing act of when do I stop playing this game to try a different game? And that's kind of one of the things I liked when I was, doing some research for this was, it was kind of rephrasing it from, do we want this to be are you trying to marathon these games, or are you trying to create a buffet out of them? Like, is it more about the experience, or is it more about the story? So, and I don't have an answer. For me, I feel like I have to complete them, or I have to do them, or if I don't beat the game, then I didn't truly play the game, even though that's not an accurate statement at all. But, anyway, yeah, so I think it's, everything y'all said, but also it's just, we're fortunate that we have a lot of options right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Does your backlog ever become like overwhelming, like, and then when you start chipping away at something, like, are you doing it because it's fun, or is it becoming a chore, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think that's the hardest question to ask. I definitely felt that when I was playing like Assassin's Creed Shadows. I wanted to hurry up and finish that game, and I was enjoying the game. I really did enjoy the game, but I was trying to hurry up and finish it because I knew that Borderlands was coming out. So, like, it was kind of like I'm trying to rush through the experience so that I can get through it as opposed to enjoying it. And I think at that point it became a chore to play the game. Like, oh, I've got to hurry up and get through these missions so that I can do this. And I'm not gonna lie, there's some times that I'll really enjoy a game, and there will be missions that just feel like chores. Especially anytime you get you get those gathering quests. It's just like, oh my God, do we have to spend an hour and a half doing this quest?
Yeah,
Yeah, especially if it's part of the main storyline.
Mm-hmm.
That will turn me off real quick.
Yeah, like it's pretty annoying. Yeah, I would agree that the backlog can sometimes become overwhelming, especially when you're trying to mark stuff off the lists. You don't ever want it to become a chore. You don't ever want it to become like a to-do list. Like, okay, I gotta do this. So whenever I go to select my new game that I want to complete from the backlog, it's like, okay, and we'll get into this a little bit later. So I think I'll just hold off on that. Is there anything you want to add to that, Jay?
No, I think you guys have hit all the points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of segues into the next segment pretty easily. When it comes to playing a game, when do we decide it's time to give up and move on to something different? And so for me, there's a couple of different factors for me personally. It starts with genre. Like, what am I in the mood to, if I'm not in the mood to like be competitive, then I'm probably not going to play a sports game. There are times where I'm like, I'm feeling pretty competitive, especially during like the competitive parts of our school year, that I'll be like, well, I think I want to play some football or something and like do all that kind of stuff. But it comes down to genre. What am I feeling? And number two, it comes down to the mechanics of the game. Like, what kind of game am I playing? Is it turn-based? Is it strategy? You know what I mean? Is it very story driven, or is it like I can pretty well just start playing and not have to think too much about it? And then it comes down to the tutorial after that. Is the tutorial just annoying? And is it so long where you lose me? And I would say that Kingdom Hearts probably, as much as I love that series, Kingdom Hearts probably has the most annoying tutorial section of any series I've ever played, because the tutorial also serves as like the setup for the story for each installment, but it takes it like 45 minutes to an hour to get you through it, and it's telling that part of the story, sure, but it's also walking you through the mechanics, especially if like you're going for a second or third playthrough. You get it, but like you still have to get through it in order to get to the main course type thing. What about y'all, Jay?
Well, I think, it's from that moment you're staring at the screen, you've got your controller in your hand, and I have to ask myself, am I actually having fun right now? Or am I just checking boxes? For me, I usually know, I would say within the first couple of hours, if a game's it's gonna stick. If I'm still slogging through a tutorial 2 hours in, after I've already created a character for an hour and a half, and I feel like you can't have it both ways. Okay, so if you're going to have this, illustrious, thick, tutorial, or that's going to tell you how to play the game, you can't have this every single setting to how many pimples do you want on this person's nose when you know what I mean? Because some people are really into that, like myself. I'm going to spend a lot of time on character creation. But if the story's not clicking, I mean, if the tutorial is not contributing to the story in some way, I'm going to pull a smooth move, and that may be the end of it for me. Life's just too short, and the backlog's too long. I mean, I've got a ton. I mean, I even looked, I didn't even list them all. I didn't write them all down, how many games that I've gone through and maybe spent 10 minutes in it. And it's just, for me, I guess the first couple hours, I can tell. Sometimes counting character creation, sometimes not counting. So if it's after we're ready to go, characters created. Are you sure? Yes. And then once we go in, then the one thing I can't stand is when it's forced. They force you to do the tutorial, and you can't get out of it. Like if you're in Assassin's Creed or something and all the controls are the same, I don't want a tutorial. I know how to, sneak up on somebody and stab them in the back. But sometimes they don't do that,
What about you, Jarrett?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. One more caveat is when I get dumped into either post-tutorial or whatever it is, and it just literally opens up to overwhelming, endless possibilities in no direction, I go, and done.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to have a direction to go. I've got to know what the goal is and how I'm going to get there. If they just say, do whatever you want. It's a sandbox. The world is your oyster. I go and delete. I can't.
And it's gone.
Yeah, I don't want an oyster. I want a story. So,
Oysters are gross.
yes, they are. So,
so when you're playing a game, you've gotten to where you're settled in. You're like, okay, I'm gonna play this game, and I'm invested in it. Do you have a personal cutoff point for when you're done with it? Um, you know what I'm saying? So for me, if I've gotten through the grueling tutorial, if I've gotten through the character creation or whatever, and I'm playing through and I'm investing time, sometimes I'll be playing something and it feels like a chore, or like I'll sit down at my computer or my console and I'll turn it on and then I'll see the start screen. I'm like it's busy work type thing, and I'm like, I've got to force myself through it, and then but sometimes that battle isn't won, and I end up giving up on it, and so when it becomes the chore of having to do endless gathering quests or endless, I don't know, point A to point B, back to C, but then you got to go to D and then come back to A, and there's all this running around nonsense.
Yeah.
And but the dread part is, seeing the start screen or starting it up and be like, okay, I've got to power through, and then you end up losing that fight. When's your cutoff point, Jarrett?
I think for me, it's just when I have that existential dread of I don't want to be here and I don't want to be doing this. Then I'm like, you know what? It's time to find something else.
Yeah.
And it's time to move on. That's kind of how it was with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I just put so much time and effort into it, and I really did enjoy it until I got to that point that the world opened up again, unlocked all these things that I had already done, and I just felt defeated. So at that point, it was like, I dread going back and doing these things again. And so I just stopped playing it.
Yeah. How about you, Jay?
Yeah. So for me, it's when the homework outweighs the reward. If I catch myself dreading booting that up, like what you said, Chris, when I'm looking at it going, okay, if I just get past this one, I don't like it. I don't like this mission, or I don't like whatever the case may be. Once I finally do get through it, or if I have to get online, like we've talked about in previous episodes, and just needed a little helper to get through it, and if the reward is just not worth it, that's a red flag for me almost immediately. Yeah. Sometimes I'll say, oh, I'll come back later, but let's be honest, once that spark's gone, it's rare that I ever do.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think and some can make the argument like, well, okay, I'll be starting a game, but like, if I'm playing Borderlands 3 for the first time and Borderlands 4 is on its way to release, it'll be like, okay, well, I'm going to play Borderlands 3 up until the release of Borderlands 4, and then I'm going to cut it off so I can jump into the new one. I don't really have that issue. Like, I don't have a problem not playing the game day one, like the second it releases. So if I'm in the middle of playing something, but its sequel's right around the corner, I don't have any issue waiting for it. Just because I like to enjoy what I'm playing first, so I try not to rush it. Would you guys have this sequel? What do you call that? The sequel jitters, where you're just trying to like, okay, well, I'm not done with this, but the sequel's out, so I'm going to go ahead and play the sequel, the new release.
Well, have you ever played a game and then you tried to go back and played a previous iteration of that game? For instance, like we played not Final Fantasy, you played Fallout 4. Okay, then you try to go back and you're like, oh man, I really love Final Fantasy 4. God bless why I keep saying that. Fallout. I love Fallout 4. I'm going to go back and play Fallout 3. Have you ever done that?
Yeah.
And just the quality of life is so awful. You want to destroy the video game.
Not with everything. No, not with everything. I did that with the original Fallout. After playing Fallout 4, I was like, I really want to go back and play Fallout, the OG one, because I haven't played it in a while. I enjoyed it. Now, what I say,
and then you can't crouch, you can't run, you can't do anything. It's like. Right. And then the aim is awful, and then they hadn't really figured. And so, like for me, if I'm playing Borderlands 3 and I have not beat Borderlands 3, and they come out with Borderlands 4, I may be enjoying my game. I may be used to it. I may be fine with it. But then you pull out Borderlands 4 and you go, oh my God, there's all these quality of life improvements. Now, obviously, if you never open up Pandora's box, you have no clue what those improvements are. But if you get to experience those improvements, and most of the time now it's not as it was nowadays, most of these sequels do a really good job of transitioning you. And not to mention, it's been 10 years since the previous game, so they just assume nobody remembers the previous game anyway. So they do a pretty good job of keeping you informed to where you don't have to play the first episodes in the series.
Recap videos, my man. Recap videos.
Yeah, so for me, if a sequel's ready to go and I'm playing in the middle of an iteration, it just comes down to it goes back to, do I dread playing it? If I'm still having fun, then I'll keep playing it. But if I'm kind of like, I'm kind of getting bored, I want to play the new version, I'll stop it. And I'll just go ahead and go to the new version.
So what are some games that you guys finally gave up on, and why? And do you hold any guilt for not finishing it at all?
I'll take this one.
Yeah.
So there's a few games that I had to tap out on. One of them was Elden Ring that I mentioned earlier. For one, gorgeous world. Oh my God. Just amazing design. But I hit a wall and realized I was more frustrated than entertained, just for various different reasons. The gameplay itself, the mechanics, the story was just, I think my expectations were way higher for that game than what I was, than the experience. Same with No Man's Sky early on. And I don't know if you guys ever played that upon its first release, but a lot of problems with that game. But I appreciated what it was going for, after hours of mining rocks and fixing my ship. I just couldn't justify the time sink anymore. It really is. The game has so much potential, and I still think it does. I think they need a new one. I think it's time to just start over with that type of game. In Starfield I felt like it had a hard time trying to compete with that, because a lot of people thought it was going to be like the good things of No Man's Sky, which is another reason why I ended up dumping that game. But even older games got the axe for me. I don't know if did you guys ever play Battletoads?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of this game?
Yes, I love that
on
game.
On the NES. It's brutal.
Yeah.
I think I saw level 3 once, and I said, nope. I'm good. E.T. on the Atari 2600. Do you ever play that?
No, I've seen
countless videos. Whatever you do. Go watch some videos of this. Watch videos of people playing. I swear to God, they're out there. Watch people playing E.T. on the 2600. And I'm pretty sure that one taught me with the definition of rage quitting. I think that before it was called rage quitting.
That's where it started.
And again, that's a game that you just got to go look it up and just go find out why people hated that game so much. Great movie. Awful game.
Do you feel guilty for not completing those?
No. And honestly, I probably should feel guilty, because that was your question. Have I ever felt guilty? No. And I don't know if I've ever really felt guilty for quitting a game. I think we just didn't coexist together. It was just like, somebody loves the game somewhere, and there may be a big contingent of people that love that game. I'm just not one of them.
You secretly love E.T.
The movie? Yes. The game? I don't know. Maybe they just need to remake the game. No, they don't. They don't need to remake that game. It's not deserving.
Oh, God.
And it's weird that I remember that game. It's wild that I remember that game.
Keep everything about the game true, but just give it modern graphics.
That's what I'm afraid of. We talked about Stranger Things and how it needs a game, right? And I'm afraid they just don't, because I love that series. They just don't need to make that into a game. It's going to ruin it. It's going to ruin everything about it.
They're going to. So
yeah, I know they will. They're already making an animated series. Did you see that?
Oh, I saw
on the 5-minute reveal, the first 5 minutes of or how many ever minutes it was. Anyway, another topic. I don't want to throw us off there, but no guilt.
What about you, Tedder?
Yeah, Final Fantasy 12 sucked. So.
Tell you that's going to be an episode one day.
I'm not taking the bait. I won't do it. Not tonight.
No, I mean, obviously there's games that I gave up on. Any Souls-like game, especially if I don't know it's a Souls-like game, and I'm like, man, this game looks really cool, and then you start it and you go, nope. Hades. I loved Hades, but it's a Souls-like game. Nope. Or roguelike. I can't do it. So I just, if I can turn on God mode, sure, but if I have to play a banjo again and not know what the buttons are, I think I might go ballistic.
We need to tell our listeners about that experience sometime between you two.
I think we did.
Did we?
But it's a story that will never get old. Ever. I love that. So there are some games that I have not completed that I just gave up on, and Starfield, I think, is a big one for me because it's a game by Bethesda. Like, You expect
I'm sorry, by
Bethesda,
who?
but what did I say? Bethesda?
Bethesda?
I don't know what's going on.
Bethesda.
Bethesda. The studio behind E.T. Bethesda.
Oh, Jesus.
We have fun. So it's a game from Bethesda. Did I say it wrong again?
Jesus Christ.
No, you're good. You're good, Chris.
God.
Carry on.
Anyway, so Starfield was a big one, and I was very disappointed because that game was not good. And I legitimately tried to give it every chance. I got like 5 hours into it, and I was over it. I was done.
God, I wanted that game to work so bad.
I did too, and it because the premise of it was just so awesome, and they had Fallout 4 and all the other stuff, and like it's just I was so disappointed in that. But do I feel guilty for not finishing that? No, because it didn't live up to my expectations on that. And to echo off of you, Jay, No Man's Sky, I didn't jump on No Man's Sky when it came out, but it was a few years after that when they've had, when they supposedly overhauled it to make it better, and then it just wasn't it wasn't good. I got tired of, like you said, fixing the ship and mining materials, and it was just like, what am I
running
doing?
out of air?
Running out of air. It's
all the time.
I didn't sign up. I didn't sign up for this. This is bad, so I deleted it. So that was bad. Don't feel guilty for that one. And
Fallout 76.
Fallout 76, yes, that's actually another one. And, I enjoyed that for the first few hours, but then it just became the rotisserie of doing the same thing over and over again.
What was the purpose? There was no point. It was a world without missions, a world without
it was
go kill stuff and scavenge stuff. What was the point? There was no point in doing anything.
Exactly. And like the content updates, and that's another one I feel like that they tried to overhaul and make better, because like it was empty at first and then they tried to fill it up, and it's just like that wasn't enough to pull me back in. So I don't really hold any guilt or resentment for not finishing that one at all. I think those are really just the big three stinkers that pop up into my mind. So we talked about earlier in the episode about how sometimes these games have really like character creators that are, you get sucked into them, for a while, especially if you're into that kind of thing. And then you get into the long tutorial business, right? After getting through that, were there games that hooked you after especially a slow start? Like the game started out pretty slow pace, but then it hooked you after it got going? And was that game ever in danger of being forgotten, like you were about to go away from it, but then right there it got you? Jarrett.
Yeah, I can't really recall. If a game doesn't catch me within the first 30 minutes, I'm pretty quick to get out of there. So if it's got a slow start, it's hard for me to catch back on. I would say, if anything, it's any anime game, anything that there's a lot of text-based stuff. It was the same thing with like Octopath Traveler. Those kind of games, there's so much reading that I lose interest, and I never got to the point where it was just like I started slow and got hooked. Usually if I'm hooked, I'm hooked. If it's slow to hook, then I don't jump back on.
I got you. What about you, Jay? Was there anything that started off slow but eventually hooked you?
I'll get to that in just a second. One of the things that I feel like bothers me now that didn't bother me when it first became really clear. Hey, for those watching on video, you know why I just did that.
Keep going.
Dialogue. I feel like I'm getting inundated with dialogue so much now that I'm getting tired. I mean, I'm hitting B, which seems like that's the key that skips dialogue. And then I'm finding myself going B, 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 B. And then eventually I'm going, did I need to read? Did I need to listen to any of that? Because after it's over, it gives you the mission, right? It tells you what you need to go do. And I like with playing Outer Worlds now. I was telling Jared about this earlier before we went online that, I mean, I'm loving this game. It's fun, but it is so much dialogue. But anyway, getting back to the question, Assassin's Creed Odyssey was one. At first, I wasn't sure I wanted to dive into a massive Assassin's Creed world. Everything before was guided prior to those open world games. And I played Odyssey before Origins, and I think Origins came out first. But I didn't play it that way. I played them out of order. And anyway, the intro felt like it took forever. For those of you that did both of you play Odyssey?
I have not.
You sail and you sail And then you learn the systems and you sail some more. And I'm thinking, am I playing an Assassin's Creed game or am I playing a Pirates game? What is this? And then figuring out who's who. And there's so many names of people you have to keep up with. But once I started Spartan kicking enemies off the cliffs, and I told you guys about that, I was all in. That was my secret. That was my secret to destroying all the big baddies, all the bosses. It turned into one of those just one more mission kind of games that kept me way too late. And I loved that game. I fell in love with it. That was the one that pulled me in. Going back to the classics, Zelda 2. You guys remember Adventure of Link? That or any of the Metroid games on the NES. They didn't make it easy to fall in love with those games early on. I didn't feel like. But sticking it out paid off. I felt like those were good stories eventually, as you got into them a little bit. But there's something rewarding about pushing through the rough start, and just feeling everything open up once you get it.
Yeah.
Once you finally understand what's going on.
Yeah. Not too many examples of slow start games really come to mind for me. Kingdom Hearts has always been that way because it's just long, and it's like you said, Jay. Like once you I know how to do the stabby stab. I don't need to be walked through this again. And that's the way that series feels. But they try to make it as interesting as possible because they make the story element part of that, like the setup for it all. Another one was God, I just had it too. Octopath Traveler. Octopath Traveler has a long introduction because of all the reading you have to do. And that was actually a game that I had quit. Like I'm on my second playthrough of that game now, but I had ended up quitting it the first time 5 hours into it because it became a slog. It became a chore of, man, I really like the mechanics. I really like the battle system. I love the 2D HD art style. But man, I really don't want to go and do this because I'm going to have to read for 10 minutes before I even get to the point where I'm fighting something. And so that was a huge turnoff for me then, which got me away from it for a couple of years, actually. And then here recently, well, I say recently, over the summer when I restarted it, it wasn't that way. And I think that's because I pretty well know what to expect now. But even after the second time through going through that slow slog of a start, I'm hooked on it now. So I'm okay with it now. So it was worth pushing through that boring intro and tutorial section for all of that. But yeah, so when it comes to playing games, when you're going through and you're trying things out, especially now that we're in the era of Game Pass and PS Plus and all those different types of things, especially game trials and demos and things, how do you determine when a game is backlog worthy or when it becomes dead in the water? And how do you make the decision to start a new game on the backlog besides saying, well, I want to go and play a comfort game, something I'm familiar with and already good to go on? Tedder.
Yeah, so, first question about it being backlog worthy or dead in the water, I think, it goes back to am I still enjoying this? Do I still have fond memories of this? And did I just get overwhelmed or was I just inundated with other things? I think it depends on how I left the game and how I felt when I left the game. I would like to. I can still keep it it's still downloaded. I haven't played it in a year, but I still keep Rebirth. I'm planning to go back to it, so it's a backlog game. If I make it to next summer and I still haven't done it, or the third sequel, whatever, I don't know. It may be dead in the water, but my other games that I have, Blueprints is gonna be dead in the water for me. There's a couple of others that I started, and I was like, yeah, this is really cool, and then I stopped playing it, and I thought it was gonna be a backlog game, and I looked back and I went, nah, and I just delete it because it's dead in the water. So when you look back and you go, would I still want to play that today? If I had time, then I think that's kind of whether it's gonna be a backlog or it's dead. How do I make the decision of starting a game versus going back to a comfort game? I think it depends on time. I think it depends on kind of how I feel. Do I want to use brain activity, or am I just there to kind of, put something on in the background to keep my hands occupied? Like there was a lot of times that I'll play Diablo, especially I'll go back to Diablo 3 and I'll start a new character and play Diablo 3. But it's not a game I have to think about. It's a game that I just kind of play for something to have on, and I'll watch a show I'll watch something on YouTube. I'll watch, something to keep my mind occupied while I'm playing a game in the background. So that's more of a comfort game, I guess. And it's like I make fun of Chris all the time for he's got this huge backlog of games and he keeps going back to Binding of Isaac.
Okay, so that's the completionist portion. There's a lot of things to complete in that game. I don't need to be attacked right now.
Sure.
But Rebirth is what we're getting from this is Rebirth is currently worthy of the storage it's taking up on your PS5. Which is something else we have to consider too, like especially on consoles, like what's worthy of the space that I have available to me. What about you, Jay?
For me, I know a game is worthy of a backlog if I keep thinking about it long after I've stopped playing. It's as simple as that. If I walk away and it's still in my head, the story, the music, the one mission that I didn't finish, that's usually my sign to give it another shot. It's going to stick around. If I walk away and never think about that thing again, it's dead in the water. I mean, I know that answer is kind of simple, and that's probably how most people feel. But now deciding when to start something new versus jumping back into a comfort game, that's a constant battle for me. Sometimes I'll scroll through my library ready to try something new, or the store to look at something, what's on sale, maybe try something that people have been talking about. I end up going back to Red Dead 2 occasionally, or sometimes Cyberpunk. And those are long downloads, by the way. So if I've deleted those and I'm thinking, I think I'd like to jump back into that game. That's not a simple jump back into that game. That's not a cartridge I can just throw in there and play like the old days. That's a thought process. And with storage these days, I mean, even with a terabyte, you think you've got enough to just simply dive back into a game. It requires some thought because, I mean, even a 200 gig game or 150 gig game at my speed right now is still going to take some time.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I'm going to go get dinner and by the time it's downloaded, I'm going, crap. I didn't really want to play that game after all. So then I delete it, so I wasted everybody's time and bandwidth. Just so that I don't know, there's comfort and familiarity sometimes too, especially after a long day. It's just like, I want to play that game again. That's why I hesitate to delete those really big games. If I knew that it was 150 gig game and it's an RPG, I know that I've got a save game in there that I can jump back into, but my gosh, I know it's going to be at least probably an hour, 30 minutes to an hour before that's through downloading. So sometimes that turns me off and I don't play at all. I may walk away from it and go, I'm going to go watch an episode of Big Bang Theory or something.
Yeah.
What was that game that had us hooked, Jay? That it was kind of like a Fallout, Skyrim kind of game.
Final Fantasy IV.
No.
This is a new game?
I hate you so much. No, I want to say it was like May or August. We were both playing it and we loved it, and we kept getting sidetracked by all the side missions. God, I can't remember the name of it. It was a Game Pass
how many
game.
brain cells I've lost over the course of the summer in marching band?
That's a great example of really loved the game,
but don't
had
remember
to jump
the name
off
of it.
Jumped off of the game for whatever reason.
I do remember what you're talking about. It'll probably come to me later. I just don't. But we spent a lot of time on this. I know what you're talking about.
Avowed.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Is that good?
Was that good?
Hold on, I get that one mixed up with the other one, and the other one was awful. One of them was like hyped up to be really good, but then it released, and then it turned out to suck. And then there was Avowed, which I think was the good one. That was I don't remember what it was. The other one,
Avowed, was the one that was like a Skyrim kind of game, and so it was. I mean, it was.
Yeah. It's in the universe of Pillars of Eternity. Do you remember? You guys remember that game? It's in that same universe.
Yeah. And I think I made it to like the third act, and I was loving it. And I don't remember why I jumped off of it, but I jumped off that game, and it will forever remain.
That we were almost in tandem. I mean, I think I made it to the third act as well, and lost interest in. And summer was about to hit. It wasn't like there was a reason with work or anything.
No,
I don't remember. That's sad.
Yeah, that's one of those that's like it died, and then I don't even know why it died.
Probably another game came out. It's like, I got to try that.
They're changing Pillars of Eternity, by the way. I read.
What?
They're adding like they're making it turn based.
Oh no.
It was already turn based.
Pillars of Eternity played like Diablo.
No, it was turn based.
What?
Yeah, Pillars 1 and 2 were turn based.
Was it? No.
Yes.
Okay.
Was that not the one where you could choose between how you wanted to do it?
Yeah, you could. Now you could choose between, but it was still like you had to do your
so when
characters.
The fight began,
it was still D&D. It was your character. You had to choose your action. You had to choose your movement. That was another thing, was you were limited on your movement. Like Diablo, you can run around as much as you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that style.
Okay. So circling it back around, I guess. For me, it becomes backlog worthy if I know I'm going to enjoy it. It becomes dead in the water if I'm not hooked into it 30 or like 30 minutes to an hour into it. If I'm just like, if I'm bored and if I'm not really just digging the story, then I'm done with it. I just can't do it. Or if after playing it for a while, it just becomes a chore. I'm dead. I'm over it. So I just get rid of it. A lot of times when it comes to starting a new game, I'm weird when it comes to this stuff, because there are games that I've been playing for several years, like Binding of Isaac. We joke about it, but like Binding of Isaac, but I mean, those roguelites are based on multiple runs and, you know, an infinite number of runs to be able to complete things and check the boxes for all the different things, which is what I'm really into when it comes to those games. Like with Enter the Gungeon, I'm working on that now, and like there's other roguelikes that'll be that same way. So it's like I have multiple games that I keep in rotation, but when I boot up my PS5, it's 6.
Would you say 6 or 7?
God dang it, I hate you. When I boot up the PS5 and I'm looking at the menu screen and I see what's there, it's like, oh, especially the big ones. It's like Final Fantasy Rebirth, like 7 Rebirth, like it's still on my startup screen, and I'm not done with it yet. But that takes up a lot of space, you know. And Elden Ring's the other one too. It's like then it becomes, when was the last time I played this? And am I really itching to play it again, to jump back into it right now? Or am I not feeling this particular thing? And if not, then I just delete it and I move on so I can make room for something else that I can do. So that kind of covers that. So this is all about, I mean, with Gaming Daddies, this is all about how we manage our time with, you know, being a father, being a gamer, all this other stuff. So how has being a parent, how has that changed our gaming patience, or affected our gaming patience? And, you know, how do we go about just approaching video games as parents, Jay?
Well, being a parent changes everything about how you game, and you guys are experiencing that firsthand right now. I definitely game different before kids. So especially your patience, your patience level changes quite drastically. You can deal with more now, or you will be able to deal with more as kids enter your life. So back in the day, I could sit for hours, grind through something like Assassin's Creed, you know, if that was around back then, or Mass Effect, without a care in the world. You know, now if I can get a solid 30 minutes in before someone needs help finding a charger, Dad, where's my charger? I can't find, you know, this part of my laundry, or, you know, just want another snack, or I need water. I remember all those days. It's a victory, you know, if you can get 30 minutes in.
Yeah. I would agree with that. It's hard. It's really hard. You know, especially with just having a newborn, like, come home and, you know, hang out with Noah and all that stuff. And it really just kind of depends on him. If he's feeling particularly fussy that day, then there's no chance I'm going to be able to sit down and start, you know, a big project game, like something like Borderlands 4, and be able to play consistently if I'm just going to have to constantly pause and set it down. And that's not because I'm becoming irritated. It's because when I'm invested in a big project game like that, I like to be able to pay attention to what's going on and keep up with the story. Because that's the other thing, is like, if I get lost in the story, it becomes irritating to play a game. It's just like, I don't know what's going on. And so now I'm having to do extra work to try to figure out what's going on with all that stuff. And then it comes to comfort gaming on those particular days, you know, jumping back into those short bursts, you know, sessions of, you know, here's one quick round of Balatro or something. And, you know, or a quick level of Mario Kart or whatever the case may be. So that definitely, that's a challenge to juggle. But, you know, it adds to the, you know, the planning, and I kind of dig that too. So I like to be able to adapt on the fly. So what about you, Jarrett?
Yeah, I think for me, it's, I think I lost a lot. Uh-oh. Jarrett, we're good? Okay, cool. Yeah, I think for me, it's just with Ronan, he either has trouble sleeping at night, or doesn't sleep through his naps, or we spent so much of his first year rocking him during his naps because he would not sleep unless he's in contact. And like, even now he's got an ear infection. So like, he's running fever and he won't sleep unless he's on you. And so And that's fine. I don't mind doing it, but then like there's times where you can't even sleep. So like for me, it's I might have 2 or 3 hours in the day where I'm not actively watching or rocking, roning or whatever. But it's like, do I want to catch up on sleep? Do I get that few extra hours of sleep that I can? Do I take a nap or do I go play a video game? And then even if I do turn on the video game, am I going to pass out while I'm playing the game?
Yeah,
So,
that's real life.
um, I really haven't got to play in a couple weeks because either he's been sick or we've been sick or, we've been busy doing work or whatever it is. So it's like, right now we're not doing the work stuff as much anymore, but now I've got a sick child. And so, all my extra time is catching up on sleep.
Yeah, and I felt that because it's been hard to sit down and just play a game in the past few
Mhm.
weeks or so because of, with our work life and then baby life and then other commitments part of life type thing. And Noah has been a lot of contact stuff. Like he really wants to like be held and
Mhm.
rocked and like in he is sometimes there's a lot of nights where he fights the sleep like and he, like
Mhm.
it's gotten to the point like even earlier today like Nicole and Noah went to go lay down in the bed to go take a nap before we went to trivia and he would not fall asleep on his back, but the second she put him on his side up against her
Mhm.
he was out. And so,
Yep.
like, dealing with that and like contact napping, he loves. And but like after he falls asleep, we can generally put him in his bassinet or lay him in the chair or on the bed or something. And he's typically really good. And then, with his fussiness, I'm pretty sure he's teething now. He's like eating everything and like he's covering everything in like slobber and all that stuff. So, but yeah, it's been hectic. It's just the last few weeks, but hopefully we can get some more stuff going here. What about you, Jay?
Well, if we're talking about I mean, there's so many years that's expanded from the time these guys were kids and how to deal with that. Not to take up too much time, but I adopted something, and I know this was one of our questions, the 30-minute rule. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, I learned to game in those short bursts, quick missions, short sessions, save points close together. And I learned to play games. If the ones don't have the save game when I want it, if it's only checkpoints, I usually won't play a lot of those games when the kids were younger because it would be aggravating because I don't know where the save game was. So it would
Mhm.
be aggravating for me. That's probably why I learned to appreciate more of the open world games, like Red Dead 2 and GTA and some of those games. I could explore, do a mission or two, bounce. I don't lose the thread of what I'm working on. Parenting changes what kind of games you want to play. I know that the type of games like Unreal Tournament used to be the big thing for me. And competitively, I was always PvP. And as kids came in, I learned to like that less. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that happens with everybody. It just changes
Mhm.
like your taste buds,
Right.
from the time you were a kid through the time you're older, you learn to like different things and you learn to dislike things you used to like.
Mm.
Um, I used to love the stress and chaos of intense shooters and horror games, but now I can't do horror games anymore. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
after a long day, I do not want to come home and play Resident Evil.
Mm.
Sometimes that means something cozy, familiar, like we talked about. Or firing up a classic. I've loaded up an emulator and played Galaga just the other day, just because
Mm.
I could. I mean, it's
That's awesome.
simple. It's just but it's like
Mhm.
Space Invaders. Those things get closer and closer and closer.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a drive there. And let's be honest, patience gets tested on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
When my
Mhm.
kids were younger, I had to learn to let them take the controller, which is, God, that sucks. I'm just telling you now. Even if it meant watching them just walk into a wall and just keep walking into the wall, like some of the NPC characters do in like the old GTA games. They just, if it meant watching them, you could watch them do that for 10 minutes and then eventually you just have to let go. And now that they're older, I'm proud that they've developed their own gaming taste. For example, Hayden's into bigger open world games, kind of like me. Gracie's more of a casual gamer who just dips in and out. Ava loves her music and story based stuff like Life is Strange, Split
Mhm.
Fiction, some of those games. And I like watching them do that. So I've become a lot more of a watcher, a spectator of the
Mm-hmm.
kids playing games too, as a gaming dad.
Mm-hmm.
But being a dad gamer means accepting that sometimes your game time is shared time. That's just
Exactly.
part
Yeah.
of it, whether it's playing Minecraft, which I don't really enjoy at all, but when my niece is over and they're all crammed in there playing, sometimes I'll just watch them explore something new
Mm-hmm.
or just talking about what they're into. And that's where the real joy comes from, I think.
Yeah. And I like that you said shared experience or shared gaming time.
Hmm.
Because even when I'm sitting on the chair with Noah or just holding him or just chilling and laying in the bed with him or whatever, I find myself watching more of the streamers that I like to watch on their YouTube, on their VODs on YouTube, or even on Twitch, watching them play and just enjoying their experience through the game and commentary. So I feel like that's become more of a normal part of my gaming experience, which is really cool because, I mean, I just enjoy that stuff anyway. So not to get too long in the tooth, let's talk about and see if we can give our community some tips here. Tips for tackling our backlog. Who wants to start with this first? Let's just open it up.
I'll go ahead and go. So how do we actually manage the ever-growing pile of unfinished games? Well, I've learned that you can't beat the backlog.
No, the backlog always wins.
You can learn to live with it. My biggest tip probably is to prioritize the story-driven, or the shorter games first. If it's something I can finish in under 20 hours, that's going to be probably my go-to first. Even though, like, deep down in my heart, those 50 to 100-hour games, when they're promoted like that, it's just savoring. I want to download it so bad, and a lot of times I will. It becomes a backlog before I ever even play the game.
Yeah.
Games like Firewatch. I don't know if you guys ever played that.
Yes,
Firewatch or even
fun.
Yeah, Alan Wake. They're doable. You can get a lot of progress in some of the shorter games, but once I get one or two knocked out, it feels like I've actually accomplished something.
Yeah, I think for me, it's more of I have to let go. Kind of understand where I am in life right now and be okay with that. And kind of like what you were saying, maybe there's different ways to experience those games. It doesn't always have to be me playing the game to be able to say I've experienced the game. And if that's you and you really do have to experience games that way, then great, But I definitely think you got to prioritize, what is worth it, what's not worth it, and what's your top games. But other than that, I don't have really great tips for tackling a backlog as much as just you're gonna have to let it go at some point.
Yeah. For me, I can share my personal philosophy on that. For me, it's all about what am I into? Like, what is the style of game I really want to play? What sounds fun? And that's generally where I go to first. And also, I like to have a few games in rotation at the same time, but they're not all the same thing. So if I'm playing a pretty meaty game like working on Borderlands 4, then that's the main course that I'm working on. But I also have other like smaller games that I'm working on too, like Enter the Gungeon I'm currently working on. That's something that I know I can sit down and pick up and play for 20, 30 minutes, and then I can dip out of it real quick, and I don't really have to invest a lot of thought process to do what I need to do on that because it's a lot of repeated stuff. But I can still complete and check off boxes. And then there's usually a third game that's like more of a comfort game, like a for fun game, like Marvel Rivals or something. I can go and just sit and chill and enjoy, and not, something else like that, I guess. For my draw, sorry, I blanked for a second. Short games also are really, really good to have. Like, I'm playing through Sonic Generations, and that's just made up of all the old release Sonic games and stuff, and includes like Sonic CD and things like that. So I like to play through that because, again, it's really easy and simple to kind of do, and it's stuff I've done before. I've started keeping a list of games that I want to play, so I can work on that, and I just keep adding to it all the time. And so I just kind of think about what do I want to approach first. And as a parent, as a new parent, I think having multiples to choose from, depending on your situation, like where what your kids are doing, or where you're at, or what the amount of free time that you have, I think you'll find really, really helpful. I eliminate games off the list if I just stop having fun with it, because like we've discussed, and it's throughout the run of this episode, like gaming really should be fun. That's the point of it. Like, that's your break from the work and life and things like that. It should be fun. So if a game's ever feeling like a chore, you got to get rid of it. You got to dump it and move it on. And who knows, maybe in the future you might be able to jump back on it, and it may just be appealing again, like I had my experience with Octopath Traveler. So that would be my advice for y'all. So yeah. Anything else we want to add to this particular subject today? I felt like this was a really good episode, boys.
Yeah.
Especially it's perfect timing for us getting out of marching season and going into some concert season, maybe some few more afternoons at home.
Yes, indeed. Do you guys ever go back and revisit some old save files just for the memories?
I did. Not recently, but you were talking about, was it Fallout 4 where you could build settlements? Was that, or is that 3?
Final Fallout 4? Final Fallout.
What?
That's good. That's good. I love
Okay, well, this has been
that he pokes at Jarrett over these Final Fantasy games.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us today, Ev.
That's great. No, seriously. Fallout, I guess it was 4.
Yes, it was 4.
Yeah, so I reinstalled that about 6 months, maybe closer to a year ago, and I just wanted to see what that game was like, because I remember I have such fond memories of that game, and wanted to go see where my settlements were and how they were, and I loaded into it, spent about 15 minutes in there. I was like, yeah, it's been great, it's been fun, and it's just not the same. I guess it's like nostalgia. It's better to relive it in your memory for what that game was when you first played it, or when you first encountered those type of gameplay. It's just not, it doesn't do anything for me now. I've done it a couple of times, but it just, that's the one thing that scares me about these remastered games that are coming out, like Halo. You know, not that I know it's going to be gorgeous, it's going to be great, but I do worry that it's not going to, it's not, because I know the story, but I hear Jarrett said something that they're adding some things to that game. Is that correct? Like they're going to add a few things to the story in the remastered. I don't know. For me, things like that kind of worried me a little bit, because I remember what it felt like to originally play the first Halo game, and now it's going to be so gorgeous and next gen. And
what I heard is they're going to add like skulls. Like there's going to be 20 skulls to go collect. But that doesn't change gameplay. That's just you go collect, and then like it may give you the big head, or like there was one that I loved that was the exploding skull. So like every time you'd shoot a grunt in the head, it would explode with confetti and it would go, yay! And so you just get and it just made you feel so good, because you'd get a little headshot and you'd go, yay!
I feel like I've read that they're adding like a few extra missions, like prequel missions, I think, with Chief.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a few more new missions that they're doing.
Well, you could definitely do a whole episode on Halo, I think.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Someday, if we really wanted to tackle that.
Yeah. So Jay revisited his Fallout 4 save, and then Preston Garvey approached him and told him that a settlement needed help.
Preston. Oh, I miss Preston. No.
I don't, because settlements always needed help.
Always.
And guess that was one of the things that got dropped. I would start with Preston and be like, deuces, good luck.
Hope you guys can figure out how to live in this dystopian world.
Preston never gave you really good perks. It was always it was McCraney who gave you the 95% headshot every time. So I had to always go seek him out. No, you get Piper first, because you want to go down, and she would give you bonus double XP for finding new areas. So anytime you walked into and discovered a new area, you got double XP with Piper. And then you go get McCraney so you can get the 95% headshot no matter what. And then you would switch out and you would get the girl, the boxer. Because you could go, Grognak, the barbarian. You could go to the comic book store and you could get his outfit, and then you could go get his hammer and stuff like that. You could give it to her, and she's the only character that would wear it, and she'd get all the perks.
Who was the ogre companion, or not the ogre, the super mutant? That idiot.
I never got him.
He somehow got a hold of a fat boy
super nuke,
nuke, and he threw it
every time.
Well, I'm in the middle of fighting somebody, and it killed everybody, including me. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's awesome. Every time. love that for me. Anything else we want to add to this, boys?
No, I think it's time to wrap it up. I got to go rock a child.
Awesome. I need to go check on my kid.
Okay.
Too.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us today on today's episode of Gaming Daddies. Don't forget, you can catch the audio version of the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast. And if you want the full video version, head over to youtube.com/gamingdaddies and join the fun. If you'd like to support the show and help us take it to the next level, consider joining our Patreon at patreon.com/gamingdaddies. Big shout out to our amazing supporter, Sean Donahue.
Thank you, Sean.
Yes. Without you, we couldn't do it. So until next time, this has been Gaming Daddies, and we'll see you in the game.
Don't forget to go download your copy of E.T. the Extraterrestrial and Final Fallout.
You'll be amazed at how much fun that game is.
for the Atari.
Yeah,
That
and
we totally all have. Okay, hey,
final Fallout.
this has been
4,
fun.
So
I'm
we'll
done
get you
with
some
you.
of that Fallout fantasy.
I'm pushing stop now.